If this is you, freaking stop procrastinating and get LinkedIn ads going today. There's 0% chance that you're not just adding revenue. Hey guys, welcome back. And we're going to cover a most frequently asked question in this episode. So the question that comes up a lot is, how long does it take before I start seeing results, leads, conversions from a LinkedIn ad campaign? So the short answer is that it completely varies depending on the person, the size of the company, the offer, the website, the budget. So I'm going to go through a couple of different scenarios because I think that would be more helpful than me just giving you averages or, like the averages even from my clients. So let's go through a couple of the most, common scenarios. And then we can, and you'll kind of understand as we go through that. So this is a really common question, but I'm going to completely level with you here. If you aren't aware of this yet, I'll be the bearer of the bad news. Marketing is a long-term play that builds momentum over time. It's not a quick hit. It's not transactional. It's not as transactional as maybe like Google Ads would be. Or if you're like an e-com store and you can just put, really nice looking pictures in front of people and they kind of impulse buy and it turns into a conversion really fast. So that's not exactly what you wanted to hear, a lot of people, but I think in the back of your minds, if you run a B2B business, you already know that, you're aware of it. Or if you're kind of like on this journey of you're learning, then, I'm right here. I'm right here with you. I'm going to explain how this works, how this typically plays out, and what you can probably personally expect, depending on where you're at in this journey. So some of the other things that really play a big role is, what other ad channels are you currently running? And that seems like an odd question. If you're asking, well, how soon can I expect results from LinkedIn paid ads? I'm not asking about Google, Facebook, organic, SEO, but actually whether or not you are running those channels does contribute to how fast you'll start seeing results on LinkedIn ads. Is a huge difference, massive difference. If you're carving out LinkedIn ads as a new channel and you're not running any other channels, or you don't have a healthy spend on other channels, compared to if you already have a long history and healthy spend on Google Ads and Facebook and email and SEO, and now you're adding LinkedIn. Two completely different answers. So I will answer three different variations. I think I looked through my notes, three different variations. One is, if you don't have anything else going on, let's just take LinkedIn ads in a silo. If this is your first channel that you're trying to carve out and you don't have anything else going on, or not that we're going to count, what does that look like? Then we're going to look at, okay, I have some other channels. I have, I've been running Google Ads for a little bit. I have a tiny ad spend on Facebook. My website, has some healthy organic traffic. Now, what does that look like if I'm adding on LinkedIn? And then I'm going to cover, you have a strong established presence on Google and Facebook, or at least two other channels, Google and email, Google and organic SEO. And now I'm going to add on LinkedIn. So those are three very different answers. So we're going to answer those three in that order. So the first one is LinkedIn ads in a silo, no other channels. We actually work with a lot of scrappy startups, people who, their ad budget on LinkedIn ads is $500 a month, $1,000 a month. Now, for the most part, most marketers, LinkedIn ads experts, especially if they're like a solo operation, like they wouldn't even touch those accounts, because those are going to be usually high churn accounts. They don't have a ton of budget. They're not going to see a ton of results super fast. So they might get discouraged. So it's a hard type of client to want to go after as a business. I've always had a heart for scrappy startups, being one myself, having built and sold the initial business, Link and Learn. So I think, and maybe our main investor will say something different, but I feel like I always want to have a spot for scrappy startups to get their toe in the water with different ad channels, and I want to have that offering. So we actually deal with this type of client and initial LinkedIn ads, channel carving out by itself. So this is what it looks like. This is the toughest situation of the three, as you can imagine. Now that I've actually laid out the three scenarios, you can say, oh yeah, well, this is gonna be starting from ground zero. So here's what it looks like. The first 30 days, depending on your budget, let's say $1,000 a month. Like I started out with $300 a month. Like that was my 3 years ago or whatever. Like that was my initial ad budget. A lot start out with $500 a month. If you can, $1,000 a month. There's not a magic number, but you'll get data faster. You'll get into retargeting faster. You'll get results faster if you increase your budget. And that's not me as a marketing manager or whatever saying, hey, just spend more money. Realistically, it's about the data. So the first 30 days, here's what it looks like. You're putting cold ads in front of your target audience and trying to drive down the cost per click while building up retargeting audience. So Facebook and LinkedIn are cold marketing channels usually. So these people aren't searching for you like Google search. They didn't ask for this. You're putting your ads in front of people that meet your target demographic criteria. They look like your ideal client. And you're hoping based on your targeting that they have a need. You're targeting people who are likely to have a need that fits your solution. So you're putting ads in front of them. You're just trying to get on their radar. They've never heard of you. They're not looking for you. They might not even be looking for a solution yet, or they might not even know they have a problem that needs a solution. So at this stage of the game, you're honestly just trying to get on your target prospects radar, get in front of them with your name and logo, and maybe present the main pain point that you solve. Let them know that, hey, this is an issue that you're experiencing and there is a solution. Get them curious about it. That's all we're doing right now. So as you can imagine, the first 30, 45, even 60 days, depending on your budget, not going to get a whole lot of conversions. You're not going to get people that, just your ad is so amazing that they just click on it and they just have to have it and just take my money. As much as we would love that scenario to play out for ourselves and all of our clients, that's just not the world we live in. You think about yourself when you see an ad, and it's a solution, something you didn't even know existed, it piques your curiosity. So what we are looking for is those signals of intent. Did they click the ad and land on your website? Did they click that and go to the landing page? Did they check out your company page? If it was a video, did they watch 50% or more of that initial cold video? If it was a lead gen form, did they open the lead gen form but not submit it? We're looking, we're putting cold ads in front of a target audience that didn't ask for it, and we're looking for signals of intent. And then we track those signals and we build a retargeting audience that we can come back to and run ads against at a later time. So that's what the first 30 days looks like. The minimum ad budget that you can run a cold ad for is $10 a day. So you at least need $300 a month to run this initial cold ad. But the big thing is, in order to get into retargeting, which is where 80% of the leads and conversions come from, in order to get to that phase, you need to build up a target audience of at least 300, which means you need at least 300 people to click your ad. Or, as you'll see why, having those other options of Google and Facebook and email makes this so much faster, is the LinkedIn Insights tag actually picks up traffic from, all sources, not just LinkedIn ads. So if you're tracking your website traffic, and it's not just LinkedIn ads that's feeding into it, you can actually harness those other channels' traffic, retarget them on LinkedIn, and carve out a positive ROI channel a lot faster. And as that retargeting audience grows, initially from 300 and then up to 2, 3, 4,000, $10 a day is still, for a single campaign and retargeting, is still a decent amount to stay in front of them and for that one prospect to see multiple ads of yours. So that's something to keep in mind. Like, it's going to have a slow start, but it builds momentum. It's something that if you put X amount of dollars, $1,000 a month into it, you might get nothing on month one. You might get some slight interest in month two. You might get a couple of leads in month three. You might get a couple of leads and a booked call in month four. You might get a handful of booked calls and a closed deal in month five. And then you might get consistent closed deals from then on. It's something that builds momentum. and you have to stick with it and build a long-term strategy. And the ad spend, the monthly budget you put into that, really helps get data and move into that faster, especially if LinkedIn is your only channel. You're not able to piggyback off of the traffic of other channels. And once you get into the retargeting layer, there's all sorts of retargeting strategies and layers that can come into play that can help accelerate that, move the needle, and really help build trust and credibility and accelerate them through the funnel. So I would say that's what it could be a 6-month endeavor, with $500 to $1,000 ad spend. That's not much for a lot of these channels. And most LinkedIn ad managers wouldn't take you on as a client unless you're spending $3,000 a month, because they know that you won't see the results fast enough and then you'll give up more often than not. So if you're doing it yourself and you're starting out with a small budget, just keep that in mind, that it's going to be an investment, much like SEO, much like investing in the stock market. It is a long-term play. And if you're hoping it's transactional, I put 500 in this month and I get 4 booked calls, you're going to be very disappointed. But if you stick with it, you have the right mindset, it will really, it can really be an amazing channel for you. So if that was you, you can tune out if you want. I'm going to go over to the next 2 scenarios. The next one is you started with Google Ads. That's what most companies do. They start with Google Ads, $500 a month, $1,000 to $3,000 a month. And now they're looking to add, LinkedIn as a second channel, or they have Google Ads and a strong SEO game, but now they're looking to add LinkedIn. So this is a slightly better situation than the first one because we can actually piggyback off of the other channels to harness that website traffic and get into retargeting a little faster. Plus, LinkedIn retargeting will enhance the ad spend of those other channels. So it's a win-win-win. You'll likely have a better idea of the images, copy, and even the targeting that your offer resonates with, because if you're running Google Ads or Facebook, you actually already have data on what demographic this hits the hardest with, what phrases, search terms that people gravitate towards, and you probably have a better idea too, like which of your services is like your core anchor service that you should lead with marketing. With this scenario, I'd estimate traction on conversions happening between 2 and 3 months, and this is with light Google ad spend. Like maybe you're spending $2,000 a month on Google Ads, and then you've been doing that for 3 or 4 months, and you're adding LinkedIn. I would say start planning on booked calls and actual clients dropping, within 3 months of starting LinkedIn ads, if you're running Google. You can actually just leave that collecting for a few months. So one thing I would say is if you are running Google ads or have a strong SEO game, one thing you could do if you want to carve out LinkedIn is first, just get the Insights tag installed on your website. Because like I said before, the LinkedIn Insights tag picks up on website traffic, all your website traffic, not just LinkedIn ads traffic. So if you really wanted to, you could put the Insights tag on your website. You could create the custom audiences inside of LinkedIn ads, and then you could just let it sit there for a while. You could let it collect an audience of 300 plus, and then you could start a LinkedIn ad campaign that was just a retargeting campaign instead of starting off cold. So that would allow you, I would say there's no reason that within the first 45 days, you're not booking calls from a LinkedIn ads campaign that's simply retargeting your Google ads traffic. Like that's just a no-brainer. There's almost no way you can lose money on that unless your Google ads campaign sucks too and it's pulling in crappy clicks. Then you're just retargeting crappy traffic. So it does, it goes both ways. If you have a solid Google ads campaign that is producing results, then adding LinkedIn retargeting to that should be a no-brainer. There's almost absolutely no way you could lose with that. So I would say within 90 days, if you have some slight Google ads traffic, you've seen conversions over there, you should see results over here pretty quickly. Now, the third option and the best option, these are the clients we love, is obviously the favorite. If we have a client running $10,000 a month or more on Google ads, $5,000 or so on Facebook, they have strong SEO, they have brand authority, they have an established website. If this is you, freaking stop procrastinating and get LinkedIn ads going today. There's 0% chance that you're not just adding revenue and have a positive ROI unless you have the crappiest ads manager in the world. So here's what it looked like. You get the LinkedIn Insights tag installed on your website, build the custom audiences. And then if you're spending 10 grand plus on Google, put 2 grand a month on LinkedIn ads, a small cold campaign, a nice layered retargeting campaign. You'll see results, conversions in the first 30 days. I mean, guaranteed. You won't see a ton of action from the retargeting until you actually get into that. So if you actually build the retargeting first and then wait to run it until that actually filled up, then yeah, within the first 30 days. Otherwise, you're still running cold for a little bit until that retargeting fills up, which it should fill up really fast if you have those other channels going. But the cool thing is you'll get into it deep and fast. You'll have 600, 700 plus in your retargeting audience by the end of 30 days. By month 2, you can double that, and you'll even with $10 a day behind retargeting, it'll just get more and more powerful. So you'd want someone who knows, with that kind of spend, you'd want someone who knows the advanced strategies, because at that point, with that kind of spend, you don't just want like a retargeting layer where you're just showing back up and showing basic ads to them. At that point, you would want to layer on your retargeting. When these prospects come in to LinkedIn, you want to dominate their feed. You want to show up on their main feed. You want to have a text ad showing above. You want to have a spotlight ad over to the right, and you want to hit them in their inbox with a custom personalized message. And the whole concept, and we'll get into retargeting strategies on a different one, is just that you want to use retargeting to build trust and credibility. So it's not just hitting them with all these different ads left and right. It's the kind of ads that don't always feel like ads. It's case studies, testimonials, putting your blog, your cross-channel promotion, show them your podcast, your YouTube, your newsletter, until they have no doubt in their mind that you are the expert in your space, and they see you everywhere. That's the power of retargeting. It builds trust and credibility. It accelerates them through the sales funnel. And that's the 3 answers to one of the most common questions is, how long does it take to start seeing leads and results from LinkedIn ads? Really depends on your ad spend budget, what other channels you have working for you, and what budgets you have over there, and then just your overall brand authority. And yeah, that's all I got for you guys.